Captain Lisa Monroe stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon and watched the stars through the main screen. Her ship moved slowly through space near the edge of human territory. She had been out here for 6 months looking for new worlds and checking the borders. The mission seemed normal until her communications officer spoke up. "Captain, we have something strange on the sensors," said Lieutenant Emma Price. She looked at her screen with confusion. "There is a ship out there, but it does not match any human design we know." Lisa felt her heart beat faster. After 300 years of space travel, humans had never met another intelligent species. They had found planets with simple life, but nothing that could build ships and travel between stars. She walked over to Emma's station and looked at the readings. "How big is it?" Lisa asked. "About twice the size of our ship," Emma replied. "And Captain, it is not moving like our ships do. It seems to float without any engines we can detect." Lisa turned to her science officer. "Danny, what do you think?" Dr. Danny Rodriguez studied his instruments carefully. "The ship is made of materials we have never seen before. It gives off energy patterns that should be impossible. If I did not know better, I would say it runs on something other than normal physics." The bridge became quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. After decades of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, they finally had their answer. Lisa took a deep breath and remembered her training. Every human captain had learned the first contact rules by heart. More importantly, every human knew the secret they had to keep hidden from any aliens they might meet. "Nina, what is our defensive status?" Lisa asked her security chief. Chief Nina Walsh checked her weapons panel. "All systems are ready, Captain, but our orders are clear. We defend only if attacked first." Lisa nodded. The Terran Federation had spent years preparing for this moment. They had plans and backup plans. Most importantly, they had instructions about what humans could never let aliens discover about themselves. She opened a channel to Earth Command. "Admiral Brooks, this is Captain Monroe of the Horizon. We have contact with an unknown alien vessel, requesting permission to begin first contact protocol." The reply came back after a few minutes. "Admiral." Kevin Brooks appeared on the screen from his office on Earth. "Permission granted, Captain. Remember your training? Follow the protocols exactly. Do not deviate from the plan under any circumstances." Lisa understood the hidden meaning in his words. The protocols were not just about making peaceful contact. They were about keeping humanity's greatest secret safe. She turned back to her crew. "Open a communication channel," she ordered. The main screen flickered and then showed something that made everyone gasp. The alien was beautiful in a strange way. Its body looked like it was made of clear crystal that changed colors as it moved. Patterns of light flowed through its form like water. When it spoke, the sound was like music. "Greetings, travelers from the Yellow Star System. I am Voice of the Depths from the Zephyrian Collective. We have watched your ships for some time and decided to make contact." Lisa stepped forward. "I am Captain Lisa Monroe of the human ship Horizon. We are honored to meet you." The alien's colors shifted to what might have been happiness. "Humans, yes, we have heard this name in the old records. You are young as a species, but you have spread to many worlds quickly. We are curious about your kind." "We are curious about you as well," Lisa replied. She had to be careful with every word. "We have traveled far, but have never met others like you." Voice of the Depths seemed to smile, though its crystal face did not change shape. "There are many others, Captain Monroe. The galaxy is full of life and intelligence. Would you like to meet them?" Pete Johnson, the tactical officer, caught Lisa's eye and tapped his scanner. He had discovered something important. The alien ship's sensors were scanning their vessel, but the readings showed something strange. The scans were not detecting what they should be detecting about human biology. Whatever made humans special was invisible to alien technology. "We would be honored to learn about other species," Lisa said. She felt relief that their secret remained hidden. "But we must contact our leaders first?" "Of course," the alien replied. "Take your time. We will wait here, but Captain Monroe, I must tell you something. Your species interests us greatly." In all our travels, we have never encountered beings quite like humans. There is something different about you, though we cannot determine what it is." Lisa's crew exchanged worried glances. The alien had noticed something even if their scanners missed the truth. "Different how?" she asked. "Your ship moves in patterns we do not expect. Your responses to our presence are not what our models predicted. It is as if you think in ways we have not encountered before. Most species follow certain patterns of logic and behavior. You do not." The bridge stayed silent. This was exactly what humans had feared. Even without knowing the truth, aliens could sense that something was unusual about human thinking. Lisa knew she had to end this conversation before the alien discovered more. "Perhaps when we meet again, we can discuss these differences," she said. "For now, we must return to our territory and report this contact." Voice of the Depths agreed. And the communication ended. As soon as the alien ship moved away, Lisa called a meeting with her senior officers. They had to discuss what just happened and what it meant for humanity's future. The secret was still safe, but for how much longer? Dr. Amy Turner looked through the lab window at the massive space station ahead of them. The Galactic Assembly Station was bigger than any human city. It spun slowly in space like a giant wheel with thousands of ships docked around it. She had spent the last week studying the data the Zephyrians had shared about other alien species, and what she learned amazed and worried her. "The biological diversity is incredible," she told Captain Monroe as they prepared to dock. "Every species has evolved abilities that seem impossible. The Corthony can change gravity around their bodies. The Villari exist in normal space and something called subspace at the same time. And the Ethereals appear to manipulate time itself." Lisa nodded, but her mind was on other concerns. Ambassador Carol Phillips had arrived on the horizon 2 days ago to represent humanity at the assembly. Carol was one of the few people who knew the complete truth about what made humans different from every other species in the galaxy. The weight of keeping that secret showed in her tired eyes. "Ambassador, are you ready for this?" Lisa asked as they walked toward the docking bay. Carol adjusted her formal uniform and checked her communication device. "As ready as anyone can be for something like this? Remember, we are just another young species learning about the galaxy. We have basic technology and no special abilities. That is our story and we must stick to it." The docking process took an hour. When the airlock opened, they met their Zephyrian guide, a being who called itself Flow of Starlight. Its crystal body pulsed with gentle blue light as it led them through. Corridors filled with beings that looked like they came from dreams and nightmares. "The assembly includes over 400 species," Flow of Starlight explained as they walked. "Each has contributed something unique to our collective knowledge. The Corthony built most of our gravity-based technology. The Villari handle all communications that must travel faster than light. The Ethereals serve as our historians and keep records of events across time." Amy stared at a group of floating creatures that seemed to be made of pure energy. Near them, beings that looked like living rocks discussed something in voices that sounded like grinding stone. She realized that every species they passed had obvious supernatural abilities. Humans looked completely ordinary by comparison. Director Steve Carter had briefed them before they left Earth. The Global Defense Council had spent months preparing for this moment. They knew that humanity's survival might depend on appearing harmless and unremarkable. The secret had to remain hidden at all costs. The assembly hall was enormous. Thousands of beings filled floating platforms arranged in a sphere around a central speaking area. Carol took her place at the platform marked for new species while Lisa and her officers sat in an observation section. Colonel Jack Hayes and his security team spread out to watch everything and everyone. "Welcome, humans of Earth," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The speaker was one of the Ethereals, a being that looked like it was made of shifting mist and starlight. "I am the keeper of present moments. We greet you as the newest members of our galactic community." Carol stood and bowed respectfully. "Thank you for this honor. Humanity is eager to learn from the wisdom and experience of older species. Tell us about your people, requested a Corthony whose massive body floated without any visible support. What abilities do you possess? How do you contribute to the advancement of knowledge? This was the moment Carol had trained for. Humans are still young as a species. We have developed technology for space travel and basic energy manipulation. We build with metals and composites. We communicate through electromagnetic signals. Our abilities are limited compared to what we see here today. A murmur went through the assembly. Amy noticed that many species seemed surprised by how ordinary humans sounded. Some appeared disappointed as if they had expected something more. Impressive. You have no ability to manipulate fundamental forces? Asked a Velari whose form flickered between dimensions. No, Carol replied honestly. We work with natural laws as we understand them. We cannot change gravity or energy or time through. Will alone. The ethereal known as Keeper spoke again. Interesting. Most species develop some form of direct reality manipulation before achieving interstellar travel. Your path to the stars is unusual. Pete Johnson leaned over to Lisa and whispered. They think we are primitive because we cannot do what they do naturally. That works in our favor. As the formal introduction continued, Carol demonstrated human technology. She showed them examples of human computers, weapons, and ships. Everything was impressive by human standards but looked simple compared to alien. Technology that operated through supernatural means. Your devices are cleverly designed, admitted a being that looked like a living plant. You achieve results through indirect methods and complex engineering. Most species would simply impose their will directly on matter and energy. We work with what we have, Carol said modestly. Perhaps in time we will develop greater abilities. During a break in the proceedings, Amy found herself talking with a group of alien scientists. They were fascinated by human biology but could not understand why humans had evolved intelligence without supernatural abilities. Evolution should favor direct power over complex tool use, explained a Corthony researcher. Why did your species develop elaborate technology instead of natural abilities? Amy gave the prepared answer. Perhaps our planet required different survival strategies. We adapted to work with our environment rather than control it directly. The alien scientists seemed satisfied with this explanation, but Amy noticed they kept studying the humans with obvious curiosity. Something about humanity puzzled them, even if they could not identify what it was. Later that day, Carol met privately with the assembly leadership. The ethereal keeper of present moments spoke. For the group, your species presents an interesting case, the keeper said. We have observed many civilizations develop along similar paths. They discover their abilities, learn to enhance them, and eventually join the galactic community. Humans appear to have skipped the ability development phase entirely. Perhaps our abilities will emerge in time, Carol suggested. Perhaps, the keeper agreed. Or perhaps humans represent something entirely new. We will be very interested to observe your development. As the day ended, the human delegation returned to their ship. Carol looked exhausted from maintaining the careful deception, but she had succeeded. The aliens saw humans as an oddity, but not as a threat. The secret remained safe for now. Amy reviewed her notes from the day and realized something troubling. Every alien species followed predictable patterns of development and behavior. They used their abilities in logical, systematic ways. Human technology and methods seemed random and unpredictable by comparison. This difference might eventually give humanity away, but it might also be exactly what kept them safe in a galaxy full of incredibly powerful beings who could not understand how different human minds really were. Dr. Helen Gray stood in the deepest level of the Prometheus Institute, 3 kilometers below the surface of Mars. The facility had been built in secret over 50 years ago to study the one thing that made humanity unique in the universe. Around her, the most brilliant human minds worked on projects that could never be revealed to the galaxy above. Zephyrian biological data confirms our theories, she told the assembled research team. Every alien species we have encountered thinks in purely logical patterns. They can manipulate reality through will and natural ability, but they cannot conceive of things that do not exist. They cannot imagine beyond the boundaries of what they observe. Agent Tyler Shaw nodded from his position near the security door. His organization had spent generations preparing for first contact with aliens. They had built elaborate plans around humanity's greatest secret. Not that humans were weak, but that they possessed something no other species had ever developed. Show them the creativity tests, Tyler said. Helen activated a holographic display that showed the results of decades of research. We gave the same problems to human children and to the most advanced alien artificial intelligences we could create based on their thinking patterns. The difference is remarkable. The display showed a simple challenge. Draw something that has never existed before. Human children created fantastic creatures, impossible machines, and worlds that defied natural law. The alien pattern computers could only recombine existing elements in logical ways. Aliens think like incredibly advanced computers, Helen explained. They can process vast amounts of information and manipulate reality through their natural abilities, but they cannot create something from nothing. They cannot imagine what does not exist. They cannot think outside the rules of logic and physics. Lieutenant Sarah Foster sat in the back of the room, still trying to understand what she had learned since arriving at the Institute. She had been selected for this briefing because her ship would soon return to alien space. The truth about humanity was bigger and more important than she had ever imagined. But how do we know this for certain? Sarah asked. Maybe we just have not met the right aliens yet. General Roy Martinez stood up from his chair at the front of the room. He had spent his entire career developing military strategies based on human cognitive advantages. Because we have been studying them for longer than they know, every alien species follows the same patterns. They develop abilities to manipulate physical forces. They build logical, systematic societies. They advance through predictable stages of technology and culture. None of them has ever produced art, music, or literature that imagines things beyond their direct experience. Helen brought up another display showing alien cultural artifacts. Their art was beautiful but always based on mathematical patterns or natural phenomena. Their music followed precise harmonic structures. Their stories were historical records or logical predictions based on known facts. They cannot lie creatively, Helen said. They can withhold information or state false facts, but they cannot invent elaborate fictional scenarios. They do not understand metaphor, analogy, or symbolic thinking. When we show them human art or stories, they assume we are describing real events or trying to communicate factual information. Tyler walked to the center of the room. His agents had been monitoring alien communications since first contact. This is why our weapons and tactics confuse them. We do not just build tools to solve known problems. We imagine problems that might exist and create solutions for threats we have never faced. We prepare for situations that may never happen. This kind of thinking is completely foreign to them. Sarah remembered her time aboard the Horizon. Captain Monroe had made decisions that seemed to come from nowhere, solving problems in ways that surprised even her own crew. Now she understood why alien observers found human behavior unpredictable. The creativity goes deeper than art and stories, General Martinez continued. Human military tactics have always relied on deception, misdirection, and unexpected strategies. We can imagine what our enemies might do and plan accordingly. Aliens fight with overwhelming power and logical efficiency. They cannot comprehend battle plans based on psychological manipulation or strategic surprises. Dr. Helen Gray pulled up the most classified files in the Institute. This is why we built our entire first contact strategy around appearing weak and ordinary. Aliens see our lack of supernatural abilities as a disadvantage. They do not recognize that our minds work in fundamentally different ways. As long as they think we are just clever tool users, they will underestimate the true extent of human capabilities. The briefing continued for hours. Sarah learned about human achievements that had been hidden from the public for decades. Scientists who had solved impossible problems through creative leaps. Engineers who had built technologies that should not work according to alien logic. Artists whose work had effects on alien minds that the aliens themselves could not explain. Human music has a strange impact on alien psychology, Helen explained. They find it disturbing because it creates emotional responses they cannot analyze or predict. Human stories confuse them because the characters make decisions that are not strictly logical. They cannot understand why we create fictional worlds and populate them with imaginary beings. Agent Tyler Shaw showed them recordings from alien facilities. We have been monitoring their discussions about humanity. They describe us as chaotic and unpredictable. They are trying to create mathematical models to explain human behavior. But they keep failing because they cannot account for imagination and creativity. Sarah realized the enormous responsibility that every human carried. So our job is to continue appearing primitive while hiding the fact that we can think in ways they cannot. Exactly, General Martinez confirmed. As long as aliens believe that direct power is superior to creative thinking, they will not see us as a threat. But if they ever discover that humans can imagine possibilities they cannot conceive, everything changes. The meeting ended with new assignments for everyone present. Sarah would return to her ship with instructions to observe alien behavior patterns and report any changes in their attitudes toward humanity. Tyler's agents would continue monitoring alien communications. Helen's researchers would keep studying the differences between human and alien cognition. As Sarah prepared to leave the institute, Helen pulled her aside for a private conversation. There is something else you should know. Some of our researchers believe that human creativity is not just different from alien thinking. They think it might be the next stage of evolution for intelligent life. Every species in the galaxy has reached a plateau where they can manipulate reality but cannot grow beyond logical limitations. Humans might be the first species to break through those barriers. Sarah felt the weight of this possibility. If humans really were evolving beyond the limits that constrained other species, then the secret they were hiding was not just about survival. It was about the future of intelligence itself in the galaxy. What happens when they find out? Sarah asked. Helen looked toward the surface where alien ships waited among the stars. We hope that by then we will be ready to show them what imagination can accomplish when it is combined with the will to protect what matters most. Engineer Paul Kim stared at the problem that had stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. The void storms had appeared without warning 6 months ago, consuming entire star systems and leaving nothing behind but empty space. Every alien species had tried to solve the mystery using their most advanced technology and supernatural abilities. Nothing worked. The energy readings make no sense, Dr. Rita Wells said as she reviewed the data for the 100th time. The storms do not follow any known physics. They appear randomly, grow at impossible speeds, and then vanish completely. The ethereals cannot predict them through time manipulation. The Corthony cannot affect them with gravity control. Even the Villari cannot track them through subspace. Paul nodded, but his mind was working differently than his alien colleagues expected. While they tried to understand the storms through direct analysis and logical deduction, he was seeing patterns. That had nothing to do with normal science. The storms reminded him of something, but he could not quite identify what it was. Captain Luke Adams received the emergency call while his ship patrolled near the Terran border. A void storm had appeared in the Centauri system and was growing rapidly toward inhabited worlds. The Galactic Assembly had requested help from every available ship, but no one knew what they could actually do against the phenomenon. Set course for Centauri, Luke ordered his crew. Maximum speed. Communication Officer Emma Price looked worried as she monitored alien emergency channels. Captain, the other ships are reporting complete sensor failure as they approach the storm. Their navigation systems stop working and their crews become disoriented. Several vessels have already been lost. Luke felt a strange confidence that he could not explain logically. Human ships had been present during 2 previous storms. encounters, and both times they had managed to escape when alien vessels failed. Something about human minds seemed to work better near the storms, though no one understood why. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Craig Stone was analyzing something troubling in his reports. Alien communications showed increasing confusion about human performance during crisis situations. Zephyrians had begun asking questions about human psychology. The Corthini were requesting detailed scans of human brain activity. Most concerning, the ancient ethereals had started discussing what they called the human anomaly. They are beginning to suspect that something about us is different, Craig reported to Admiral Brooks during their encrypted communication. Not necessarily our abilities, but our thinking processes. They cannot explain why humans make decisions that seem random but often work better than logical approaches. Back in the laboratory, Paul Kim had a breakthrough that changed everything. He stopped trying to analyze the void storms as a physics problem and started treating them like a puzzle. Instead of measuring energy levels and force vectors, he looked at the pattern of where and when they appeared. "Rita, look at this," he said excitedly. "Stop thinking about the storms as natural phenomena. What if they are something else entirely?" Dr. Wells looked at his display with confusion. "Paul, you are drawing connections between completely unrelated data points. The storm locations have nothing in common except randomness." "That is exactly what I mean," Paul replied. "What if the randomness is the pattern? What if these storms are not following natural laws at all?" This kind of thinking would have been impossible for any alien mind. They could only process information through logical frameworks and systematic analysis. Paul's creative leap required the ability to imagine possibilities that existed outside normal scientific methodology. His breakthrough came when he stopped treating the storms as physics and started treating them as art. He arranged the storm data like colors on a canvas, looking for aesthetic patterns rather than mathematical relationships. Suddenly, he saw it. "The storms are not random," he announced to the shocked research team. "They are following a pattern, but it is not a pattern based on physical laws. It is based on something like composition or design." The alien scientists could not understand what Paul meant. Pattern recognition for them meant mathematical sequences or logical progressions. The idea that something could follow artistic or creative patterns made no sense to their minds. Captain Luke Adams proved Paul's theory when his ship encountered the Centauri storm. Instead of using sensors and computers to navigate, he relied on what humans called intuition. He made decisions based on feelings and hunches rather than data analysis. "Turn 30 degrees starboard," he ordered, though his instruments showed no reason for the course change. "Captain, that direction takes us deeper into the storm," his navigator protested. "Trust me," Luke replied, making another turn that defied all logical navigation principles. Somehow, Luke's seemingly random course changes allowed his ship to pass through the storm safely. He could not explain how he knew which direction to go, but his instincts guided him correctly. When alien observers tried to analyze his flight path, they found no logical basis for his decisions. Dr. Maya Chan was working with a mixed research team when the implications became clear. She watched alien scientists try to understand Paul's pattern recognition and Luke's navigation techniques. Their confusion was obvious and troubling. They cannot comprehend solutions that are not based on logical analysis, she realized. When we solve problems through creativity and intuition, we might as well be using magic from their perspective. The cracks in humanity's facade were becoming visible to more aliens every day. Commander Alex Wright reported that Zephyrian scientists were specifically requesting to study human decision-making processes. The ethereals had begun monitoring human activities across multiple time periods, searching for what they called cognitive anomalies. Most concerning was a report from Dr. Sam Taylor, who was working directly with alien researchers. They are starting to theorize that human minds operate on principles they have never encountered before. Some are suggesting that humans might possess abilities that are completely invisible to their detection methods. The crisis reached a turning point when Paul Kim's unconventional approach to the Void storms produced the first successful prediction. He calculated where the next storm would appear not through physics equations, but through pattern analysis that resembled artistic composition more than science. The next storm will manifest in the Vega system in approximately 72 hours. He announced to the stunned assembly. When his prediction proved correct, the galaxy's attention focused entirely on humanity. Every major species began demanding explanations for human capabilities that seemed to violate everything they understood about intelligence and problem-solving. Admiral Grace Hall received urgent communications from Earth Command. The secret was no longer sustainable. Too many aliens were asking too many questions. The time was approaching when humanity would have to reveal the truth about what made them different from every other species in the galaxy. Prepare for full disclosure protocols, she ordered her staff. The age of hiding may be coming to an end. The galaxy was about to discover that the quiet, seemingly primitive humans possessed something far more dangerous than supernatural powers. They possessed the ability to think beyond the boundaries of logic itself, and that revelation would change the balance of power among the stars forever. The emergency session of the Galactic Assembly convened as the most powerful species in the galaxy faced extinction. The ethereals, who had existed for millions of years and witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, were dying. The void storms had found a way to attack beings who existed partially outside normal time, and nothing in their vast experience offered a solution. Dr. Maya Chun stood before the assembly alongside her mixed research team of humans and aliens. For the first time since first contact, humans were being asked to lead a critical mission instead of simply observing from the sidelines. The irony was not lost on her that the species everyone considered primitive might be the only ones capable of saving the galaxy's most advanced civilization. The ethereals have tried everything, announced the keeper of present moments, its misty form flickering with obvious distress. We have manipulated time itself to prevent the storms from reaching us. We have existed in past moments where the storms do not exist. Nothing works. The storms find us across all temporal dimensions. Maya looked at her human colleagues and saw the same realization in their eyes. The alien approach to the problem was fundamentally limited by their logical thinking. They were trying to solve the crisis through direct application of their supernatural abilities, but the storms seemed designed to counter exactly that kind of approach. What if we try a different method? Maya suggested carefully. What if the solution requires thinking about the problem in ways that have not been attempted before? The alien scientists exchanged confused glances. To them, there was only one way to approach any problem: analyze it logically and apply the appropriate abilities or technologies. The concept of alternative thinking methods was literally incomprehensible to their minds. Commander Alex Wright prepared his ship for the most dangerous mission in human history. He would lead a team directly into the heart of a void storm that was threatening the ethereal homeworld. Unlike previous attempts by alien vessels, his mission would not rely on advanced sensors, powerful shields, or reality-manipulating abilities. We go in dark, Alex told his crew. No active sensors, minimal life support, communications only when absolutely necessary. We navigate by instinct and make decisions based on what feels right rather than what the computers tell us. His crew looked nervous, but they trusted their commander. Every human on the ship had been briefed on the real nature of their mission. They were not just trying to save the ethereals. They were about to demonstrate to the entire galaxy that human minds worked in fundamentally different ways than alien intelligence. Dr. Sam Taylor monitored the mission from the assembly station while maintaining constant communication with Earth. The Global Defense Council had finally authorized full revelation of humanity's cognitive abilities if the mission succeeded. After centuries of hiding, humans were about to show the galaxy what imagination could accomplish. Alex, you are approaching the storm boundary, Sam reported. All alien vessels have lost contact at this point in previous attempts. Understood, Alex replied calmly, cutting external communications now. We will contact you when we return. The human ship vanished into the void storm using navigation principles that violated everything aliens understood about space travel. Alex made course corrections based on hunches and feelings. His crew operated equipment through intuitive understanding rather than technical knowledge. They solved problems by imagining solutions that had never been tried before. Inside the storm, they discovered something that explained everything. The void storms were not natural phenomena or energy discharges. They were constructs created by an intelligence that thought in ways similar to humans. An ancient species that had learned to manipulate reality through imagination rather than direct power. "The storm builders are like us," Alex reported when his ship emerged safely with critical data. "They create through visualization and conceptual thinking. Their constructs cannot be countered by logic or force because they are not based on physical laws. They exist because someone imagined them into being." This revelation sent shockwaves through the galactic community. For the first time, aliens encountered evidence of intelligence that operated outside their understanding of how minds should work. The implications were staggering and terrifying. Maya Chun found herself explaining human cognitive abilities to an audience of the galaxy's most powerful beings. She stood in the center of the assembly and revealed secrets that humanity had kept hidden since first contact. "Humans do not think like other species," she began. "We do not process information purely through logic and systematic analysis. We can imagine things that do not exist. We can conceive of possibilities that have no basis in observed reality. We can create solutions to problems by visualizing outcomes that seem impossible." The assembly erupted in confusion and concern. Species that could bend time and space struggled to understand how minds could work without logical frameworks. The concept of imagination as a cognitive tool was completely alien to their experience. "This is why human art and music affect you in ways you cannot analyze," Maya continued. "This is why our battle tactics seem random but often succeed. This is why we solve problems through methods that appear chaotic to your minds. We are not using logic and direct manipulation of reality. We are using imagination and creative thinking." The Zephyrian representative flow of starlight pulsed with rapid color changes that indicated extreme agitation. "You are saying that humans possess cognitive abilities that we cannot detect or understand. This changes everything we know about intelligence and consciousness." Admiral Grace Hall stepped forward to address the assembly's growing alarm. "We kept this secret not out of malice but out of caution. We did not know how you would react to learning that human minds work differently than yours. We feared that you might see us as a threat or an aberration." The ethereal keeper spoke with obvious difficulty. "This explains why your species confused our temporal observations. We could not predict human behavior because you make decisions based on factors that exist outside linear causality. You imagine future possibilities and act on them as if they were real." The revelation transformed the crisis from a scientific problem into an existential question about the nature of intelligence itself. Aliens who had considered themselves the pinnacle of cognitive evolution discovered that they might be missing fundamental aspects of consciousness that only humans possess. Dr. Sam Taylor provided the final piece of the puzzle. "The beings who created the void storms are probably extinct now, but they left behind constructs that continue to function through pure imaginative force. The only way to counter them is through the same kind of thinking that created them. Logic and direct power cannot affect something that exists purely as an imagined concept." The assembly faced an unprecedented decision. They could try to destroy humanity out of fear of what human imagination might accomplish. They could attempt to study and control human cognitive abilities. Or they could accept that humans represented something entirely new in the galaxy and learn to work with minds that operated beyond the boundaries of logic. The choice they made would determine not just the fate of the ethereals, but the future relationship between humanity and every other intelligent species among the stars. The secret was finally revealed, but the consequences of that revelation were only beginning to unfold. 6 months after the revelation, Captain Ben Clark commanded the first joint human-alien exploration vessel in galactic history. The ship itself was a marvel that combined human creativity with alien abilities in ways that neither species could have achieved alone. Human imagination had designed systems that should not work, while alien powers made those impossible designs function in reality. Navigation report, Ben requested as they approached an unexplored region where voidstorm activity had been detected. Conventional sensors show nothing unusual, reported his Zephyrian science officer. But Lieutenant Parker's intuitive analysis suggests we should alter course by 15 degrees. Zoe Parker nodded from her position at what had become known as the Imagination Station. Her job was to think about problems in ways that alien crew members could not conceive. She visualized possibilities, imagined threats that might not exist, and suggested solutions that had no logical foundation. "Something feels wrong about our current heading," she explained. "I cannot tell you why, but we should approach from a different angle." The alien crew members had learned to trust human intuition even when they could not understand it. Experience had shown that human hunches were often more accurate than detailed sensor analysis. The combination of alien technology guided by human imagination was proving incredibly effective. Dr. Zoe Parker worked in her laboratory at the newly established Interspecies Creative Institute on Europa. Around her, human artists collaborated with alien scientists to push the boundaries of what was possible when logic combined with imagination. The results were achievements that neither species could have reached independently. "Show me the latest." Musical compositions. She requested from her ethereal research partner, the ethereal known as Song of Ancient Memories, manifested complex harmonic patterns that followed mathematical perfection. The music was beautiful but predictable, structured according to logical principles that governed all alien art. "Now listen to this," Zoe said as she played a human composition that incorporated alien harmonic techniques with human emotional expression. The result was music that affected alien psychology in profound ways. The logical patterns provided a framework that alien minds could follow, while the human emotional content created responses that aliens had never experienced before. The combination was both comprehensible and revolutionary. Admiral Jake Sullivan faced the most complex political situation in human history. Not all alien species welcomed the revelation about human cognitive abilities. Some viewed imagination as a dangerous and unpredictable force that threatened the stable order of galactic civilization. Others saw humans as potential weapons that could be used against their enemies. The Corthany hegemony has requested exclusive access to human strategic planners, reported his intelligence officer. They want to use human imagination to develop new military tactics against their rivals. And the Villari Collective is demanding that humans be restricted from certain areas of space, added his diplomatic advisor. They claim that human unpredictability makes them too dangerous to operate near sensitive installations. Jake knew that humanity's survival depended on navigating these political tensions carefully. The galaxy was struggling to adapt to the reality that the seemingly primitive humans possessed cognitive abilities that could reshape the balance of power between civilizations. President Lisa Campbell prepared for the most important speech in human history. She would address not just Earth, but every inhabited world in the galaxy. The message would establish humanity's position in the new order that was emerging from the revelation of their unique abilities. "My fellow humans and our galactic neighbors," she began as her words were broadcast across hundreds of star systems. 6 months ago, we revealed a secret that humanity has carried since we first reached the stars. We can think in ways that no other known species can think. We can imagine possibilities that exist beyond the boundaries of logic and observed reality. The broadcast reached alien councils, research facilities, and military installations throughout the galaxy. Every species was listening to learn how humans plan to use their revealed abilities. "Some of you fear what human imagination might accomplish," Lisa continued. "Others see opportunities to exploit our cognitive differences for your own purposes." Both responses miss the true significance of what we represent. She paused to let her words reach every corner of known space before delivering the message that would define humanity's future among the stars. Imagination is not a weapon to be used against others. It is not a tool for domination or destruction. Imagination is the ability to envision better possibilities and work toward futures that do not yet exist. We offer to share this gift with species that seek cooperation and mutual growth. The response was immediate and dramatic. Some alien civilizations began forming alliances with humanity, eager to learn how imagination could enhance their own capabilities. Others withdrew from contact, fearful of contamination by human cognitive patterns that their logical minds could not process safely. The void storms provided the first major test of human-alien cooperation. Working together, human imagination and alien abilities developed solutions that neither could have achieved alone. The storms were not destroyed but redirected, transformed from weapons of destruction into tools for terraforming lifeless worlds. Captain Ben Clark led the mission that demonstrated the new paradigm. His ship, crewed by humans and aliens working in unprecedented harmony, entered the heart of the largest void storm ever recorded. Instead of fighting the storm's imaginative force, they collaborated with it. The storm builders were not trying to destroy, Ben realized as his crew made contact with the ancient intelligence behind the phenomena. They were trying to create. The destruction happened because no one understood how to work with imagination-based constructs. The successful mission marked the beginning of a new age. Humans were no longer hiding their abilities, but they were also no longer the only species capable of creative thinking. Working with alien partners, they began teaching imagination to minds that had never conceived of thinking beyond logical boundaries. Dr. Zoe Parker's institute became the center of a revolution in consciousness. Aliens who learned to incorporate human-style creativity into their thinking discovered abilities they never knew they possessed. Humans who learned to enhance their imagination with alien technologies achieved feats that seemed magical even by galactic standards. The galaxy transformed as the partnership between logical alien abilities and human imagination opened entirely. New fields of exploration and discovery. Planets were redesigned rather than simply terraformed. Star systems were rearranged to create artistic compositions spanning light years. Entire civilizations began thinking in ways that their ancestors could never have imagined. President Lisa Campbell's final words in her historic address proved prophetic. The age of hiding is over. We face the future not as separate species, competing for resources and territory, but as partners in the greatest creative project in galactic history. Together we will imagine possibilities that none of us could envision alone, and then we will make those impossible possibilities real. The secret humanity had hidden from the stars was finally revealed, but the true story was just beginning. In a galaxy where logic and power had ruled for millions of years, imagination and creativity were about to reshape everything that intelligent life could become. The stars themselves would never be the same.